Well, welcome back to the Forex Fortress. It is week number 3, and a quick little recap on what this whole series is about. Just very short-term bang type plays, of which we're going to be focusing mostly on the short-term time frames. Maybe take a look at the daily every once in a while as well. And as always, we're going to start off with Dixie to set in the overall buys for all of the major US dollar pairs. Not to say that they're all going to trade obtuse to it, but for the most part, it does kind of help round out some more important biases. So with that in mind, obviously following up on the last weekly closer, we do see that we are going to get that continuation of the downside right here, which does kind of put in my bias of, I almost say Bitcoin, but Dixie coming all the way down towards this $92 base right here, of which we go down to the daily. It's still looking to me like a little bit more lower on the short term. But with that in mind, again, on the higher term time frames, we're more close. We're getting very close to that long-term bottoming area, especially as the monthly is looming overhead as well, lingering. If you've been seeing, what was that movie? No, it's not Tropic Thunder. It's the other one, Pineapple Express. Yeah, that's it. I just saw it recently, and it's on the top of my mind. So yeah, taking a look at the monthly right here, everywhere within this region is kind of fraught with peril. So I do want to have an intense kind of eye on that region. But for the short-term timeframes, yes, I actually would be looking for this to come down a little bit more, and also on the daily as well. So again, short-term, medium-term down, but as far as the long-term goes, would be kind of cautious within that region. And again, it's not to say that everything's going to trade, exactly opposite to that, but it will kind of help set in some biases when things are maybe like not exactly clear in other directions. So with that in mind, we'll go down the list. We'll start off with Aussie dollar, which is quickly becoming my least favorite one because this one really just seems to kind of do its own thing for what it's worth. And let's see, where did it close the weekly last week? Yeah, closing the weekly in this region right here. I would be looking for a bounce overall, probably back up towards about 72 cents, which I would keep a keen eye on. Checking out the daily here too, same sort of thing as well. So I'd still be kind of like looking for a move back up towards about 71.8 to about 72 cents region. After which I would be looking for a short-term high to be put in, and going down to the very low-term timeframes right here. What do we see? We see a nice little range being created and some nice higher lows following through right now. So I would essentially have a short-term upwards bias, and then looking for the next sort of short-term top somewhere right around here, around that 200 simple on the 4-hour at around about 71.8 to 72 cents, anywhere within that region, and then looking probably for some more downside overall because the weekly is bearish here after all. But that doesn't mean that we can't play at some short-term upside. So with that in mind, we'll move on to the next one, CAD dollar right here. And I should also say that as far as they all go, I've consistently feel like Aussie dollar is the one that I feel less or the least comfortable with. So take that with a few grains of salt. And of course, it's not financial advice, not financial advice, but checking out CAD dollar right here, weekly closing above the 200 simple. Wait, hey, get that damn trend line out of my face. and so kind of going to set in the bias right there. For this current range between the 10 symbol and the 200 exponential average right here, of which what do we see on the daily? Daily is very obviously down. However, in the short term, I probably would be looking for a bounce somewhere off this level. Do we head slightly further down towards about 75 and 75? Maybe yes, but I would be looking for a bounce off this region nonetheless, no matter which way I'm kind of like bullish or bearish. So with that in mind, should also follow up on this jewel sell signal right here. Not a super strong one, but getting the short-term momentum to the downside. So yeah, I would say short term, probably a little bit more of a drop towards about 70. What exactly is this region? Sorry, it's not 75. It's more like 75.69, we'll call it. And I would be looking for a bounce off that region as well, kind of playing out the daily. And then we'll come back tomorrow because the daily, I would actually be looking for overall greater downside. So man, this one's actually a little bit difficult to kind of wrap up my thoughts on this one once again, just to like be abundantly clear, is be looking for extremely short-term downside towards like 75.69, we'll call it, and then a bounce up. Then a bounce up from there, and then further downside on the daily after that bounce plays out, and we'll come back to it tomorrow very likely after that. Anyways, moving on, we got euro pound right here. What do we think about this one? Looking for this one to bounce back up a little bit again as well. We spoke about this one last week, coming back in a range of which I don't really have anything new to add on to this one. Short term, it is certainly bearish here, looking for another move back down to that 90-cent base. But as far as the daily and weekly go, I probably would be looking for that region to bounce it nonetheless. So looking at daily, weekly right here, I'm just curious. Yeah, I'd pretty much hang on to that. And do we see anything of interest on the hourly as well? Yeah, a little bit of short-term down, and then I'd be looking for it to bounce once again off 90 cents back in a range. Anyways, moving on to euro dollar, the big bad one. Short-term, looking for some upside, probably back up towards 118 3/4. What do we see on the 4-hour right here? Same sort of thing, kind of putting in some nice higher lows, or at least trying to put in some nice higher lows right now. And I would essentially be actually extending that run on the 4-hour back up towards about 118 119.5. And what do we see on the daily here too? Daily is kind of just continuation essentially. And what does the weekly say? Weekly looks like it wants to, weekly has a bullish bias. So basically on all time frames on this one, this one's probably the most clear one right now. And also it does have a golden cross incoming on the weekly, assuming that it does get this next closure above 119 at the end of this week. But you know, one time frame before the next, and pretty much all ones on this one are showing a little bit of upside bias here. Looking at pound yen, what do we see? Jesus, man, this one's always a fucking monstrosity on the eyes. But according to the weekly, I would be looking for a little bit of upside here, probably back up towards 138.25. We did get our 137 target hit from last week, or sorry, 137.25. Of which, how does that kind of correlate with the lower term timeframes? I'd be looking for some upside here as well. 4 hours showing back up towards about 137.25 again. So same fucking trade as last week basically, and hourly same thing as well. So 137.25 low term timeframes, daily and weekly, both look like I got some upside. But I do have to reiterate on the weekly long term, this is very fucking bearish here. But does that mean, does that not mean that we can't fit in some short term upside here? Yeah, I think so. Looking for some pound dollar. What do we see right here as well? Hey baby, can you turn that down for a bit? She's playing Beat Saber right now. I don't think she realizes we just got the Quest 2 VR and it's fucking amazing, and I'm gonna go get lost in that right after this as well. Looking at weekly pound dollar, I'd be looking for some more upside here as well, probably back up towards about 132-ish region, maybe beyond, maybe even all the way back up towards 133.5. Long term again, very bearish, kind of similar to what we see on pound yen. It's like, yes, short term we got some upside. Long term, keep in mind that if we're looking at this on a monthly, it's gonna be intensely bearish, so to speak. But if we go down to a daily, what do we see right here? Yeah, a little bit of short-term upside. And what do we see on the 4 hour? Same sort of thing. 131, it would be my short-term target based off the 4 hour and the hourly. And I'd be looking for maybe a short-term pullback there with likely continuation implied, maybe a little bit higher over the rest of the week towards 131.5. What do we have after that? Yen dollar. Yen dollar, looking for a little bit of short-term upside here as well on the hourly, back up towards 95.50-ish region. 4 hours showing basically showing the same thing, looking like a little bit of a flag out formation right here. Long term, this one is quite different than a lot of the other ones because it is constructive here, and I essentially I'd actually be bullish on this one in pretty much all time frames. Now there may be a move sometime down this week towards about 95 even. That I would actually interpret that as a major opportunity, because this one I would be looking to travel upwards on just about every time frame up to a weekly right here, which is pretty damn good. This constructive behavior going all the way back to August 2016, by the way. Again, it doesn't mean that's necessarily going to happen like this fucking second, but over the next few months, yes, this one does look pretty damn good. What else do we got? We got some, I think that's actually it pretty much. What about gold? Gold, how we looking here? If I had to call this one, I probably do think that it does break to the upside. I mean, this is sideways AF. We did eventually finally hit that 1930 target from last week right here. Ever since then, though, it's just been a straight line. Do I have a strong opinion on something that looks like this? No, not at all. I don't think that it's appropriate for me to even really say anything on the daily right now. In fact, funnily enough, if I had to say anything on this one, it'd actually be governed mostly off the 4 hour, which I'd be looking for move back up towards about short term, probably somewhere back around here at about 1913-ish region, and then come back to it after that. But again, that's really not all that helpful. It's very, very short term type stuff, and I think I'd probably. Yeah, I don't really think that I have strong views on this one here. Monthly can, if the monthly wants to break down, it can really break down. But there's not really a real reason to be bearish on this one as long as it's above about 1880 on a daily. So one thing before the next. Extremely short term, I would be looking for some upside, and then we'll come back to it after that. But again, not feeling all that confident on this one, and not feeling all that strongly about it, maybe better said. Do we see anything new on Nasdaq here? Breaking, is it breaking down? Is it breaking up? Not really doing much. I do think that I said on this, on the video earlier this morning, I was probably going to look for a little bit of sideways and whatever SPY was doing. In fact, let's go check on that one, because that one was a little bit more obvious, and I believe it was down towards 3,400 base, which probably going to put Nasdaq, I guess, where it is right now. In fact, looking at, E-mini futures for SPY, we actually did get that move to about 34.12 region. I'd actually be looking for it to grind out this area a little bit more, so probably another move back down to that region, and Nasdaq hangs down here as well. And I don't really have much to call on it on top of that. If you put a gun in my head and said, Crown, say something now, I would say further down to, on Nasdaq towards about 11.4, and SPY future would probably be about 33.85 region. So fair enough. Again, I don't really feel all that strong about this. My strongest feelings are just the fact that it's, we're coming up to an election, and typically the 2 weeks preceding an election are usually going to be sideways and in down action. And right now we're getting that. Right now we had a week of sideways. Now we're getting a little bit of down action. Let's go back and do a very quick read on Bitcoin as well. Bitcoin, where you at? There you are. I found you, little piece of shit. You looking like it is. Looking like it is going to actually fall through here to the upside. 4-hour RSI looking good for another continuation drive. Hidden bullish evidence playing out, and more importantly, we are almost above that critical area right here, 13,150. In fact, if I'm looking at this on a 4-hour, I could probably even use 13.1, but for 3-hour, 2-hour, and 1 hour, all kind of around that 13,150-ish region, of which we are going to see 4-hour momentum oscillators turn back onto the upside with any sort of a close here or higher. So, what I could essentially say is above 13,150. Yeah, I'm basically looking for this next move up towards, let's call it 13.6 region over time, perhaps, but still kind of hanging on to my bullish bias there. So with that in mind, I think I'm going to shut this video off, and of course I should actually offer up a counter view on this one as well. I am basically bullish on Bitcoin for that continuation target. Very likely, it's looking more and more like it does want to kind of hit it, especially with historical volatility percentile still in the process of expanding right here, by the way, as well. But if we were to revert that, what would be your big warning sign? Well, seeing as that last wick to the downside did perfectly hit the bottom side of what would be a proverbial ascending triangle, I'd kind of be looking at this as a warning signal for the short term, medium term breakdown below 13, or sorry, not 13, but 12.7 once again, transaction to move likely back down towards low $12,000 base, around probably, let's call it like 12.1. So fair enough. So 12.950 warning signal, 12.7 no questions asked, and above 13.150 for a 4 or even 3 or 2 is looking fine to me. Even a 4-hour above 13.1 is probably fine enough as well. This one looks like it wants to have another leg up. So with that in mind, I would like to wish you the best. I'll see you hopefully tomorrow, and I want to wish you all once again, take care, and until next time.